私をハモンやと笑わせてくれるわ。こっちは花から極道の看板なんぞいらん。ちょうど旅に出よう思うとったとこや。さあ飛ばすで。
It's 1999. Goda Jin, the patriarch of Goryukai, a Jikisan, top-level gang within Omirengo, Kansai's largest Yakuza organization, is in line to become the next chairman of Omi. Rumors are spreading that he's already chosen his successor as a head of Goryukai. The man widely seen as the most likely candidate is Goda Ryuji. Ryuji's being threatened by a Yakuza who says this will be his death day. Ryuji says, "Come on then, better get on with it since the day's almost over." The enemy says Ryuji's too full of himself. He's just riding on his father's coattails. Omi. Rengo 4th generation Jikisan Goryukai acting Wakagashira. Goda Ryuji. Ryuji gives the guy a beating, and then his cronies arrive to praise him for his strength and laugh at the enemy's foolishness in taking him on. "You're 100 years too early to pick a fight with our Aniki. Idiot." But then crony B says that Ryuji is the son of the next chairman of Omirengo, and Ryuji takes offense at that, asking what being the next chairman's son has to do with anything. Is he trying to say Ryuji only got where he is because of his father? He knocks him out. Then he gets a summons to visit his father at Omi HQ. The messenger says he's probably going to make Ryuji's leadership of Go Ryukai official. Ryuji's currently acting Wakagashira, so with Jin busy with being the chairman, the guy reckons he'll make Ryuji full Wakagashira, and then after a while promote him to patriarch. Ryuji humps. Took him long enough. Omirengo 4th generation Jikisan Goryukai patriarch Goda Jin. When he meets his father, Ryuji's entirely convinced that's the case, that he's going to finally give control of the gang over to him. But instead, Jin just tells him he's young, too young, and expels him from the Yakuza. Note, the type of expulsion issued to Ryuji is Pomen Hamen. This is the one that's not permanent, but still serious. It's the same as was issued to Kiryu for killing Dojima. Ryuji thinks Jin's joking, but Jin says he would never joke in such a sacred place. Ryuji's expelled, and the next head of Goryukai is to be the current Wakagashira Hosa Takayama. Ryuji's outraged. He's clearly the best man for the job, so he demands to know his father's reason for doing this. Jin just says he's too young. He doesn't have what it takes to be a Yakuza. Ryuji asks if that's his answer, and Jin says yes. Ryuji says in that case, this is his answer, and he draws his sword. Jin stands up, shocking Ryuji, and asks if that sword is just for show. Ryuji's insulted and swings the sword. We don't see the fight, but Ryuji lost. Oyaji stood up, and he was so strong. I couldn't do a thing against him. Me, beaten by that senile old dolt. Now, there's a couple of thugs, one bragging about scaring a police officer by waving a gun around. Ryuji bumps into him, and he's angry, but his friend warns him that's Goda Ryuji. The other guy doesn't know who Ryuji is, so he isn't scared. His friend apologizes, saying he's drunk, but the other guy continues mouthing off. After giving him a beating, Ryuji asks the other guy about his bike. Is it fun? The guy says yes, it clears your head. Ryuji says he'd like to clear his head right now. So he takes the bike and rides off on it, all the way to Hokkaido. This is a very long way. He ends up in Tsukimino. It's snowing, and he's not really dressed for weather like that. He goes in search of a clothes shop and chooses a warm coat. He tells the shop assistant to send the bill to Omi, but the assistant doesn't know what that is. He tells Ryuji to clear off, or he'll call the police. Still coatless, Ryuji decides to get some hot food instead. Don't they know who I am? This would never happen in Osaka. He goes to a food stall and asks for some fried squid. The owner says that'll be 500 yen, and Ryuji asks for credit. The guy says he doesn't do credit. Come back when you have money. Ryuji asks if he wants him to freeze to death, but he also notices the guy has a sharp look. He's not just any old food stall owner. The owner says Ryuji looks like a starving stray dog, or maybe a child who's lost his daddy, but he offers him some advice. If you don't work, you don't eat. He has an errand to run, so he asks Ryuji to look after the stall while he's away, and he'll pay him with food. You need warming up. What's with those clothes? Just looking at you makes me feel cold. Ryuji sees working on a food stall as beneath his dignity, but reluctantly agrees. While the owner's away, Ryuji has a customer who says he forgot his wallet. Ryuji says no credit. Come back when you have money. The guy says just hand over the food if you don't want to get hurt. Ryuji says he'll give him some advice. If you don't work, you don't eat. And then he beats him up. The owner comes back and asks where Ryuji's planning to stay, since he doesn't even have enough money for a plate of fried squid. Ryuji says it's none of his business, but the guy says he'll die if he spends the night outside in those stupid clothes. He takes him to a Yakuza office. Ryuji asks who he is, and he introduces himself. He's the boss of Kitakata Gumi, Kitakata Daiso. The next morning, Ryuji now has a very stylish warm jacket, and Kitakata's back in his suit. The jacket's a hand-me-down from Kitakata, and Ryuji says he guesses he can't wear it anymore because of that beer belly. Kitakata's amused at his quick wit. Ryuji is intending to leave, but Kitakata says first he has to repay the favor Kitakata did him in letting him stay the night. Not looking after the stall again, it's something a bit different this time. At the shopping district, they meet one of Kitakata's men and a couple of the locals. There's been some trouble, broken windows, graffiti, etc. Kitakata apologizes for his security not being up to scratch, but the shopkeeper says it's not his fault. Ryuji demands an explanation. And Kitakata tells him that the Yawata Gumi from Aomori are trying to muscle in on their territory. They've maxed out their income in their own area, so they're trying to expand. When Kitakata left Ryuji to man the stall yesterday, he was dealing with trouble here. He wants him to help out with the patrols tonight. Ryuji says fine. If Yawata Gumi turn up, he'll smash them. Kitakata says no need to overdo it. He just wants to make them give up and go away. So he goes on patrol with a Kitakata Gumi member. Ryuji's bored because they've been round town 3 times already. The other guy says they have to keep it up because Oyaji loves this town more than anything in the world. He really doesn't want it turning into a war zone. They hear a crash and find a Yawata Gumi guy breaking windows. The Kitakata Gumi guy tells him to clear off, but Ryuji barges in. There's no need for all this talk. Let me show you the quickest way to deal with this. He beats the troublemakers up and afterwards tells them, "Tell your boss, if you interfere here again, I'll do the same to you." The Kitakata Gumi guy tells Ryuji he didn't have to go that far, but Ryuji just says that's his debt repaid and takes off. He gets on his stolen bike to go somewhere else, but it won't start. He has no money for repairs or gas, so he spends the night on the street. The next morning, he wakes up freezing and thinks if it hadn't been for Kitakata's jacket, he would have frozen to death. Then he hears some commotion. A Kitakata Gumi guy has been beaten up by Yawata Gumi as revenge for their guys getting beaten up by Ryuji last night. The guy who tells him this says if he wasn't Oyaji's guest, they would beat him so badly. And Ryuji says, fine, go ahead. But Kitakata tells them to leave it. He was the one who asked Ryuji to help out, so the responsibility is his. And anyway, they have preparations to make. Ryuji asks what preparations, and Kitakata says this isn't over. Tonight, the whole of Yawata Gumi will be coming to take revenge. Since we were the ones to strike the first blow, so we've given them a reason to invade. Ryuji knows he's been a naughty boy, but he says nothing. Kitakata says in the circumstances, he won't have time to look after Ryuji anymore. He directs him to a garage who can repair his bike and advises him to get out of Tsukimino before the evening when the fighting will start. Ryuji asks if Kitakata isn't going to tell him it's his fault, and Kitakata says, like he said before, the fault is his own for inviting Ryuji in the first place. Ryuji says, well then, and leaves. That evening, a whole bunch of Yawata Gumi arrive. The Yawata Gumi boss greets Kitakata. It's the first time they've met in person. Kitakata asks Yawata to please back down, telling him this place doesn't make them much in protection money anyway. It's hardly worth the effort. Yawata says it's not just the business they're after, though. They also want to take down Kitakata, because everyone knows him around here, so if they take him down, they'll be famous. So it seems a fight is inevitable. Kitakata checks that the locals have all been warned and help to get away so they won't get hurt. His men are still blaming Ryuji for starting all this, but they're still going to support their Oyaji, till the end. Then a voice says, "Wait!" Of course it's Ryuji. "If you're going to have a spectacular fight, then let me join in." He says he's come to pay back the debt he owes for the jacket which saved his life. Because if you don't work, you don't eat. So come on then, show me what you small-town Yakuza are made of. Afterwards, Yawata can't believe Ryuji took out that many people. So when Kitakata says they'd better take off, he quickly agrees. They won't try to invade Tsukimino again. Kitakata says, "Thanks, that's what I wanted to hear." Ryuji compliments Kitakata on being stronger than he looks. And Kitakata says Ryuji has a stronger sense of duty than he thought. Some days later, Ryuji's leaving. Kitakata tells him his guys aren't angry at Ryuji anymore, after him dealing with Yawata Gumi. Ryuji asks what of it. Kitakata asks if he's relieved, and Ryuji says, "Don't be stupid." The angry guy pops up again to tell Ryuji not to talk to Oyaji like that. But Kitakata says not to worry about it. There's nothing he can do to stop him. I mean, after all, he's Goda Ryuji. Ryuji hadn't realized Kitakata knew who he was, but of course he's heard about his expulsion. He knows Goda Jin. Ryuji asks, in that case, if it was okay for Kitakata to help him out, and Kitakata says it was only a couple of nights. He doesn't have to find out. He asks Ryuji if he can't stick around until things calm down, but Ryuji says no thanks. He'd only end up owing Kitakata more. But Kitakata has a question for Ryuji before he leaves. One of his men heard a strange thing. At the same time as Ryuji arrived in town, another mysterious man appeared too. Ryuji says it was probably a Yawata Gumi scout, and Kitakata says he thought so too at first. But it seems not, since he's still hanging around. It seems he has business with Ryuji. Ryuji's fine with that, since he has plenty of free time right now. Kitakata wishes Ryuji a good trip, and Ryuji says thanks, and tells him not to drink too much beer. Later, Ryuji's preparing to leave when someone says, "Excuse me, Goda Ryuji-sama, is it? I am here to pick you up."
ゴーダ隆二様ですね。お迎えに上がりました。